The first one, people wanted this one here. This is what they wanted. The first one. Okay, you want to watch this one instead now. Okay, people want to watch the first one. Okay, I thought you guys wanted that one. Never mind. The famous and infamous player. I better be in this. Okay, I'm gonna say this right now. I had better be in this famous and infamous players. Okay, I'm just gonna make the decision here. We're gonna look at this one now. Okay, guys. This is a good little intro
Grand
here.
achievements, meltdowns, funeral crashing, sex for gold. World of Warcraft has seen it all.
Yeah.
It's like the Jerry Springer show of MMOs. Luckily for us, much of it has been preserved
We've
for
looked
our
at the other
viewing
three
pleasure.
parts.
There's something oddly intriguing about it. It's like a train wreck that you can't look away from.
That's very true.
I'm your magnanimous, melancholy, munificent, myopic, monotonous chronicler, MadSeason show.
Okay.
And buckle up, because for the next 20 minutes, this is World of Warcraft's most famous and infamous players, Part 4.
Joe's fourth
Nerdgasm,
strength,
a thrill
fourth
of
stam.
excitement, felt in response to
Oh,
something
no.
relating to a subject in
I
which a
love
person
this.
has an obsessive interest. I've mentioned before
Yes.
that loot in the World of Warcraft has been made easier to obtain over the years. These days, you can't go a single level without a full new set of equipment, which is convenient, but that thrill of finally getting a new piece of gear is diminished. Back in the day, getting an epic was, well, epic. It was a big event, and you'd spend the rest of your day lovingly staring
that
at
gear,
those
man.
beautiful purple pixels
That guy tanks
and feeling
SM.
slightly embarrassed at the noise that you made when you obtained it.
I was never
Oh,
embarrassed.
dude, 4 strength, 4 stam, leather belt. Level 18.
Oh,
The voice you just heard was that of Joe.
God, dude, I remember that
That's
so
it,
well.
just Joe. Just another
I
one of
remember
the
watching
millions
that
of
on
players
YTM&D.
adventuring in the world of Azeroth. In his leveling, he apparently happened upon a belt. One with 4 strength and 4 stam nonetheless, and he
That's a lot.
uttered the nerdgasm heard around the world.
It's so bad.
Either that, or he was just having a stroke. What kind of stroke is up for you to decide. And when I say heard around the world, I mean that literally, because
Oh,
unlucky for Joe,
dude.
someone outside of
Dude, so many times, man. Who the, balls of steel, bro. Like, we watched that. I remember sitting in the control room of my broadcasting class in 12th grade. And in between us playing Secret of Mana and Super Smash Bros. Melee, we watched Ventura Harassment, and it was the greatest time of my fucking life. Oh my god, it was so good. I watched every single one of them.
his group of friends not only was listening, but was also recording.
Yep.
Strength 4 stam, leather belt.
He'd record their reactions and upload them to YouTube for all to see, and Joe was just one of his many victims.
4 strength, 4 stam, leather belt.
Joe, is that you and the other one?
What? No.
Yeah, dude.
Wait, what?
Oh, dude, 4 strength, No, 4 it's stam, not. leather belt.
Oh, he's just playing it over and over. Okay. Okay.
Alright, obviously it's not. Oh, dude, 4 strength, 4 stam, leather belt.
Okay. Okay, dude.
That's definitely Joe.
Oh, dude, No, it's not. He's been coming in there doing it.
I think he had a soundboard. Like, that was high humor back then. Was having a soundboard going into.
What the hell?
Oh my god.
Sounds just like Joe.
It
Oh,
is,
dude,
it
4
is.
strength, 4 No, it's stam. not!
This nerdgasm spawned a whole series
4
of videos
million
as the video
views?
compiler himself and his fans would replay it to
Holy
other random
shit.
people's Ventrilo servers to get a reaction.
Wow.
No, Kaiser Elements. Those are the ones that were on the deck.
That's
sheet.
insane.
If you get the deck
Oh,
sheets, those
dude,
skits
4
fucking
strength,
right
4
as hell.
stam, leather
Yeah.
belt.
Yeah, fuck those guys creating content.
Cow.
I should just do this.
Level 18?
You're so stupid.
Like I said, the power of pixels was strong. It's like the dark side from Star Wars, except somehow even more nerdy. People have even died
It's
over
better.
it. It's pretty scary how it can grip people. It's just a game at the end of the day.
Wait, what?
People take it way too seriously.
No, it's not a game.
Never mind that.
Yeah,
But
okay.
I mean, come on. If you're willing to murder someone for in-game loot, what's to stop you from it? Oh no. Well, I guess we may as well get this one out of the way. That's right.
Epic mount
Believe it
for
or
an
not,
epic
you're
mount.
looking at a Craigslist
Yes,
ad
dude.
for a woman offering sex for gold. Let me try to explain just why she's doing this.
Yeah.
Back when the Burning Crusade expansion came out, one of the big features being added to the game were flying mounts. You used to be locked to the ground, either on
Okay.
foot or on a ground mount, and the only time you could fly in the game was when you took flight paths, which restricted you to a set path from point A to point B.
Yep.
Now, player-controlled flying was always a highly requested thing, so when it was announced for the Burning Crusade, people flipped out. There was just one problem, though. It cost gold, which is the in-game currency.
It was a lot of
A
money
lot of
back
gold,
then.
in fact.
Like
Too
for
much for most players to have without.
to put it into perspective, buying the long boy was about as much money as it took to buy epic flying back then. So yes, inflation is about 1,000%. Like, no, I think so. Like, I really think that gold, it wasn't that hard. Let me look, okay? Let me do, how much did gold cost in TBC? History of, well, let me just look right now. Okay, let me see how much it costs. Do they have like any numbers here? Because I bet that I'm right. I know Bellior did a video about this, but I don't really know where I can find that video. Fuck. Okay, yeah, I can't even find it. I just know I remember Jeff used his mom's credit card to buy gold, and I made fun of him for it for a long time, and it cost him a lot of money so he could buy his flying. 6,000 gold is about $140. No, dude, it was way more than that. I guarantee you it was way more than that. Like 6,000 gold was a lot of money.
Going out of their way by grinding mobs or professions. Some were a bit more industrious than others, however. Hello, I need 5,000 world of gold for my epic flying mount. In return, you can mount me. You have to have an account on my server, and I want the gold before we do anything.
Smart girl.
Upfront delivery. That's pretty smart.
Yeah.
You don't want people conveniently forgetting account information post-coitus now, do we?
Yeah.
We can quote trade at your place since I can't host. Edit, because I have a lot of dumb guys message me who clearly don't have the gold.
They clearly
Make
don't
sure
have
to
the
send
gold.
a picture of yourself and a screenshot of your character with the 5,000 gold. You know, that's pretty easy to spoof. Why not have them posing in front of their computer, holding their driver's license, giving a thumbs up to the camera?
That's true. That's smart.
I play a level 70 Night Elf Druid and would prefer
Of
someone
course you
who is
do.
into role-playing. I have a costume.
Hey.
Okay, who's paying who now?
Hey.
Also, I'm not adverse to the idea of groups/anal. Now, I know what you're thinking. You want to see some gameplay. Or, I mean, there's no way that this worked, right? Come on, this is the internet.
It did.
You know
it did
better
work.
by
It
now.
did work. She made a follow-up post.
Hi, I'd just like to thank all the jackasses that thought it would be funny to post my picture all over
Success
the
story.
internet and make 50,000 threads about me on the World of Warcraft forums. I got my epic mount in about an hour that was very enjoyable for both parties, while all of you idiots probably spent hundreds of hours farming yours, and you don't even have them.
They're so dumb.
So, talk all the trash you want. I got my epic flying mount, and I got laid.
Take a hike,
which is more
punks.
than most of you failures can ever hope for.
God, dude.
This is all too much.
No, it's not, man. This was so beautiful. I remember that post, and I was thinking back then, man, I wish I was a girl. I would suck so much dick for gold. It would be beautiful. I'd have every flying mount on every character. And I'm serious, right? I was totally jealous that she was able to do this, right? It's the same as, like, you know, people are now in like a different way. Yeah, dude. Female privilege. Female fucking privilege. Literally.
I thought this was a wholesome little channel here. Let's take a
Not
break
anymore.
from prostitution for virtual currencies. Let's talk about the Goon Squad. Not really known for being one of the top guilds, but rather one
This
of
is
the
whenever
top
they won
troublemaking guilds.
Winter Grasp in like
No
1
funeral
minute.
crashing this time, but some of their work includes kiting Jaina Proudmoore to Orgrimmar to kill unsuspecting city dwellers,
Yup.
forming a raid of zombies during the Wrath of the Lich King launch event to infect and kill unsuspecting city dwellers, and
Fucking
tricking
Goon
Alliance
Squad.
players into attacking an immune player and gathering them up so they can revive all at the same time to kill unsuspecting city dwellers.
Fuck yes,
Well,
dude.
at least this time they're of the opposite faction. Their crowning achievement, however, came during the Wrath of the Lich King expansion. The new PvP
Yep, whenever they
zone,
used all
Wintergrasp,
Serenite
was
bombs.
brand
I
new.
remember this.
One side had to defend a fortress from the other, fending off players, siege tanks, demolishers,
This was so good,
and
dude.
planes. Well, that's what the box art
Yo,
said.
something awful
but
Farms of
that
Golden
never
Age?
made
That
it
was
in,
a
I
long
guess.
time ago, wasn't
The
it?
goal of the attacking team was to break
Long
through
time
layers
ago.
of walls using siege tanks, or if you were an engineer, grenades. These also did damage, but since the mainstay
did
of the
siege
event
damage,
was
too.
that siege combat, they did
Yep.
relatively little in comparison. However, in preparation
There's
for
the video.
event to
I
begin,
watched this
the
the
Goon
day it
Squad
came out.
perched themselves upon the final door leading to victory of the zone, all having a large supply of grenades.
Yep.
As soon as it started, they parachuted down and in 1 minute destroyed the last gate to win the game in record time. A stunned Alliance returned to the keep, only to find out that they've been locked out and surrounded by elite Horde guards, which slaughtered them if they drew too close. Immediately after, Blizzard released a hotfix, which made the grenades pretty much useless in the PvP zone.
Well, at least they were still useful on the Lich
Hi,
King.
this is Gurkthok from Elitist Jerks. This is a narrated video of a Zulaman speedrun that'll show you how my group has successfully approached the zone.
Recognize that voice? That's right, that's the voice of Ian Hazzikostas, the current game director of World of Warcraft. This was back during the Burning Crusade, before he was affiliated with Blizzard.
Yep.
He's the leader of the Elitist Jerks Guild, which is one of the most influential guilds in the entire game. In 2008, before the Wrath of the Lich King's launch,
Fuck yeah.
he joined Blizzard as a raid and dungeon designer, and 7 years later moved up to assistant game director. And finally, in 2016, the game director for World of Warcraft, a position he holds to this day. However, in this video, he's just
I
another
want-
player
this is-
making a neat guide on how to successfully complete the bear run in the Zulaman raid in the Burning Crusade.
It's so crazy for me to think that, like, Ian was, like, just making WoW videos back then. You know, like, just making WoW videos back then. Like, that could have been, yeah, that could have been me, dude. I don't know. It's just, it's crazy for me to think. Yeah, it's gonna be me for sure. Asmongold game director. Yeah, I mean, hey, the path has already been blazed.
Our range group spreads out in a semicircle around the boss, and the melee obviously are directly on him. You'll see that so far it's taken.
Yo, what if, like, he started off the video, he's like, hey, yo, what's up, you fucking idiots? All right, so we're gonna show you pieces of shit how to get this mount because you suck too much dick to get it on your own. Like, can you imagine that? If they had that video out and then, like, he was the director now? Like, honestly, if that was the case, I'd feel so much more comfortable.
It took us 3 to 4 minutes to get here. The timer just ticked down to 16 minutes.
If you killed the first batch of bosses within a time limit, you were rewarded with a bear mount, and it was quite difficult during the time. So, this guide proved useful to many players, showing different shortcuts,
There it
mob
is, dude.
skips, and boss strategies to speedrun the raid as fast as possible.
Yep.
As someone pointed out in the comments of the video, you can maybe think of this as foreshadowing to the Mythic Plus system, which saw its introduction in Legion. A lot of that came from Diablo 3's Rift system, since
All
they're
of it,
quite similar.
actually.
But it's interesting to think that if Ian never became the game director, we wouldn't have had Mythic Plus, which I think is one of the best things that the game has going for it right now. So, think of this as the very first Mythic Plus run in a way.
Yeah.
He was also active in vanilla World of Warcraft though. He was the one who did the math and concluded that the Cthulhu fight from vanilla AQ40 to be mathematically impossible to win, assuming the absolutely
Wow.
best geared roster of 40 players making 0 mistakes.
Holy shit.
He was the final boss of the raid. Cthulhu, not Ian, and he went unkillable by even the top raiding guilds at the time for months.
Wait, so is that
Frustrated,
actually him?
these guilds called
Oh my
out
God.
Blizzard and accused them of releasing intentionally overtuned content in order to stall for their next raid, which was of course next Ramus.
Some things never change.
Some were constructive like Ian, and they provided the numbers, and others took a slightly more dramatic approach. This is a screen cap of an IRC chat from a member of Death and Taxes, another top guild having difficulty killing the overtuned old god. Also present in the chat is Fear, the alias for Alex Afrasiabi, who's the currently world designer for World of Warcraft. During vanilla, a quest designer. There's quite a history
Wow.
with him as well, having led the EverQuest guild, the Fires of Heaven, which is considered by many to be the most dominating guild in the entire game. When he was still playing EverQuest in 2003, he made a profanity-laced rant about a new raid called the Plane of Time. It saw a shaky release, so he took to the forums to give the developers an ultimatum.
I'm gonna read it out. You have 14 days. If after that time the plane is not properly tuned, I am deleting my characters and canceling all of my accounts. The rest of my guild will follow suit, as will several other guilds and the people that play EverQuest. To be brief, I did not work my ass off, jumping through your idiotic hoops with my friends and guildmates so I could go to a zone where only groups of 18 could enjoy the content. Even past these initial moronic events, I can finally get my entire guild to raid with me. Fuck you guys. Seriously, fuck you. I cannot believe this. Right now I'm just so pissed off. I'm sitting here in Plane of Time, and 3/4 of my guild is just sitting around, while a group of 18 is repeatedly trying to beat one of the mini re-encounters. Don't you people have any fucking decency? Smedley, why don't you stop counting your money and start issuing orders? The tragic irony of creating the ultimate cock-block encounter in the form of Kill Jaden, which requires 80 people to defeat, and then limit encounters to the plane in the Plane of Time to 18. 14 days. After that, this site will change from the most popular EQ fan site on the internet to the most popular World of Warcraft fan site on the internet. I'm done playing ball with you useless fuckers. It's my turn. God, dude. See, this is whenever they just hired people that were mad. They're like, yo, you hate that other game, right? They're like, yeah. Like, all right, come work for us. Yeah.
He made a profanity-laced rant about a new
This is
raid
great.
called the Plane of Time. It saw a shaky release, so he took to the forums to give the developers an ultimatum. You have 14 days. If after that time the plane is not properly tuned, I am deleting my characters and canceling all of my accounts. The rest of my guild will follow suit, as well as several other guilds and people that play EverQuest. I did not work my ass off jumping through your idiotic hoops with my friends and
I didn't know
guildmates
he's
so
gonna
I
read
could
the
go
whole
to a
thing
zone
himself. I'm gonna
time,
skip it.
giving Blizzard 14 days to properly tune Cthulhu. Instead, this time, giving Blizzard 14 days to properly tune Cthulhu, or he and his guild will quit the game and switch to professional solitaire. Back to the IRC chat though, the guild questioned the professionalism and ethic of Blizzard releasing a seemingly broken encounter, and expressed frustration with their inability to overcome
That
what
content
they
isn't
perceived
broken
as
because
unfair
you can't
challenges.
clear it.
After carefully pondering their argument that the content may be a bit overtuned, Afrasiabi looked back to the time when he was the player. The frustrated guild leader posed with an unbeatable challenge, and retrospectively, he saw that he and Z weren't all that different. Thus, with great care and deliberation, he sincerely took on the criticism and replied, "I think you're just being a retard." Well, damn. That's pretty impressive, actually. With how filtered everything is these days, to what lengths do you have to go to for an employee of a AAA game to say that you have Down syndrome?
Retard.
How much would you have to mess with someone to completely send them off the deep end to the point where they publicly lash out at their own community base? Well, the world may never know.
It's like a double retardation whammy. These were the beautiful days. This is great.
It's like a double retardation whammy. I'm surprised he can say that with Blizzard's... Okay, I think you can read the rest of that yourself. The two continued their constructive discussion of old gods and cocks, and it didn't go very far, and incidentally, Cthulhu did end up getting nerfed shortly thereafter, and guilds finally started to beat him.
Yep.
More importantly though, we were left with one of the most dramatic public arguments between a Blizzard employee and members of the community in the company's history.
We need more of those.
Man, you know what? What am I doing?
Like, that, we really do need more of these. Like, if Ian would just come on and occasionally just, like, do a WoW stream and just, like, read the forum posts and just call them fucking morons, that would just be beautiful. I'd love it. Like, I don't know why we don't have that more often. Like, and if people got mad, fuck them, dude. Like, I can guarantee you, like, it would be overwhelmingly positive if they did that.
With my life. Talking about drama of random people across the world whom I've never met and probably will never meet, on a video that's definitely going to be advertiser unfriendly and filled with comments telling me how monotone I am. You know what, YouTube? You have 14 days. 14 days to fix your broken website, or I'm going to take my channel and turn it into an erotic audiobook promotion tool. I groan and run my fingernails across his back, and he gasps, a strangled
Wait,
moan.
what the fuck is going
Ah,
on?
fudge, Anna, he chokes, and it's a half cry, a half groan. It tears at my heart, but also deep
What?
inside me, tightening all the muscles below my waist. On second thought, I'll just cover the new mobile Diablo game. But first, let's take a glance at an important moment in the game's history. We took the amount of outrage and then doubled it. Jay Wilson is a name that lives in infamy amongst the Diablo community.
Yep.
Diablo 1 and 2 are considered to be masterpieces of the action RPG dungeon crawling genre. You kill demons, and you get loot to kill more powerful demons.
Easy.
With just 2 games to its name, it was one of the most addicting franchises gamers came across, with quite the active communities still playing today, decades later. Forgive me for giving you all of this backstory, but it's necessary to understand what the feeling was at the time, and just why the fans of the series felt so betrayed. Its creator, David Brevik, is considered to be a god amongst fans of the series, with an outpouring of support even today for a remake to his iconic sequel, Diablo 2.
We're waiting.
But here comes the year 2012, and with it, Diablo 3. The second in the series.
I actually talked to David Brevik. It was like maybe a couple of months ago, and I was going to invite him on the stream to do an interview, but then I just kind of like lost track of everything, and we ended up not doing it. But yeah, it just didn't really, like, it didn't really pan out. Yeah, what happened? Yeah, it didn't pan out.
Released over 10 years prior in the year 2000, with an expansion set in 2001, so there was an immense amount of hype and a thirst for a return to the series. Its existence was announced in 2008, and players for the first time got to see the game in action.
What a
This
dog
only
shit
made the
game.
wait worse for players though, because it looked great. The dark demon-slaying action fans knew and loved, seeing a return nearly a decade
What a
later.
dog shit game.
But, having moved on from Blizzard at this point, it would be the first game in this series without Brevik's personal touch. Blizzard instead left it in the hands of Jay Wilson, a former developer for Relic Entertainment, having done work on games such as The Company of Heroes and Warhammer 40,000: The Dawn of War. Years passed, and work on the game continued. It was teased at the
Jay
following
Wilson now works on
BlizzCons,
WoW, as
slowly
far as I
revealing
know.
each class one by one, and even including playable demos. The game would enter a closed beta stage in the fall of 2011, where a small portion of the
played it.
first act was playable with all 5 classes.
I love this.
It looked pretty good, and fans eagerly awaited the release.
Error 47.
The day finally
37.
came on May 12th, 2012,
Yep.
and the actual launch was a perfect sign of things to come.
Yep.
The game sold incredibly well, shattering many
was a
pre-sale
bad time.
records. It accumulated 3.5 million sales within the first 24 hours after release, and over 6.3 million in its first week of launch. As for the gameplay, well, the menus looked good. That was about all the players could say about the game at that point, because no one could log in. Blizzard was unprepared for the massive reception, and their servers couldn't handle the millions trying to log in at launch. There was no offline mode for the game, even for single player. You had to be connected to the internet to play. It would persist even weeks after the game's launch,
Yep.
as archived by this 94-page thread.
It was
It
only
was so
94
bad
pages?
that their offices in South Korea were raided by the Fair Trade Commission because gamers were unable to play their game and they
Wow.
were refusing refunds. Players who did get in, however,
Wow.
found a game with potential for greatness, but all in all, a mediocre experience compared to its former release 11 years ago. Players could progress through 4 acts of story with 4 levels of difficulty,
Normal,
and that's
Nightmare,
normal,
Hell, and Inferno.
nightmare, hell, and inferno,
Yep.
all providing a tougher challenge, but greater rewards. Much to the dismay of players, though, was the existence of the real money auction house system, where
Yep.
they could buy items using in-game gold or real-life money.
People
Using
were
the latter
pissed.
option, money would exchange from one player to
Yo, your boy Asmongold sold one of those spears that looked just like that. $150. I took Austin and Jeff over to Panda Express and I bought them their food. I'm like, boys, welcome to the good life. We got it made now. I'm gonna be getting these swords all day, every day. I'm gonna be fucking rich. And there was this one guy, I remember, he took out a loan on a car because he made enough money on the real money auction house that he, you know, he was able to buy like a car. Like I'm not even kidding. And like he took out a loan on it. So like I don't know how he dealt with the payments. Like I'm assuming they repossessed it after they got rid of the auction house, but it was still like, I mean, I love this shit. Like I actually thought that the real money auction house wasn't really that bad of an idea. And like just having the auction house in general wasn't a bad idea. And I don't know, dude. Diablo 3 was really fun, but there were also a lot of problems. It was not that bad. No, I didn't think it was bad because like basically the alternative to the real money auction house is you don't have any trading at all. And I'd rather have people have pay to win than not have anybody be able to trade. It's just the lesser of two evils from my perspective.
another, and Blizzard would receive a cut of the sale,
I know people
essentially
can
giving
disagree,
the
it's
game
okay.
a pay-to-win model as players would describe it. A problem made worse with the fact that the higher difficulty settings seemed to be unbalanced and poorly tested. Some
PoE has in-game trading? Okay, well, if you want like a perfect world for me, right? It would be that you had trading, but you didn't have the auction house. I think that the auction house was just Blizzard legitimizing something that was already going to happen. Right? I mean, that's what I would specifically want. I think having trading is more important than like the potential to like pay to win. Right? I mean, that's my perspective. Because not having trading affects everyone. The pay to win stuff doesn't. Literally PoE? I know, I love PoE. Yeah, I think that's great. I'm happy about it. Like, yeah, PoE did it right. Yeah, that's the whole point.
classes were able to scrape by and complete it with very expensive gear and a very specific set,
Yep.
while others, particularly melee
And a specific
classes,
class called the
struggled on
Demon
even
Hunter.
the penultimate difficulty, which was hell. The game was tested though, not just by players, but also the team itself, of course, and they
Lies.
increased the difficulty of the Inferno mode to where no one was able to complete it, and after that, as Wilson infamously boasted, they had doubled
Yep.
it.
This
Due to
is
this,
so stupid.
players pinned the extremely unfair and unbalanced nature of the game on Jay Wilson. Both he and his quotes became the subject of ridicule of players wanting a challenging but fair endgame. Dying was extremely unforgiving. Drops were
Yep.
few and far between, and the enemies you were fighting gained a random set of affixes,
It was so
some
bad, dude.
unkillable to the very limited number of viable character builds in the game.
It was
If you
absolutely
died,
dog
they would
shit.
regenerate health, and you would be left with a hefty repair bill, and with gold also being purchasable with real money, it left
Yep.
a sour taste in people's mouths. It was all too common for people to be in a situation
such
where
dog
they had
shit,
no
dude.
gold, and all of their gear was broken. The only way to progress would be to start a new character, lower the difficulty, and farm low-level enemies
That's
to
what I had
repair
to
your
do.
gear once, or visit that ever-alluring real money auction house.
Ooh.
Early on, one of the best ways to earn gold would be to run past all of the enemies in the game and just break all of the pots or
In
other
Act 1,
destructibles.
I remember this.
Behold the brutal non-stop action of Diablo 3. The game saw a record-breaking release.
Diablo had the most, like, fucking stupid farming methods. There was one where you would go in and you would kill the blacksmith's wife, and then you would leave and then turn off the game and then restart it. There was another one where you would go into Act 1 and you'd go into, like, the tomb of the Forgotten Giant or something like that. I forgot what it was specifically. And you would kill all the mobs in there and then you would leave. Then there was another one, the one that he showed with Act 1, and you would destroy all the pots and then you would leave and you would restart it. Then you'd come back and you'd destroy all the pots again. And you'd have all this gold finding gear because there was a stat back in Diablo that made you find more gold. So you had full gold finding gear just killing pots. Then there was another one on top of that Kripparrian used whenever he was leveling up, where you would basically just farm treasure goblins the whole time. Like Diablo 3, all it did was it was just a series of really, really stupid farming methods. It was beautiful.
But the active players quickly dwindled once they uncovered its gaping flaws.
Wow.
Critics who originally praised the game began condemning it, and even the series creator, Brevik, was interviewed by Ink Gamers on his thoughts on the latest game in the trilogy. He gave some criticism on some of the troubles that they were facing, and how he would have done some things differently. I'll have it linked in the description to see for yourself, but all in all, it's pretty innocuous. Members of the development team, however, took offense to the interview and mistakenly posted their discussion to the public eye, and frankly, were quite scornful. How dare he not lie for us and say that our game is flawless? Where Brevik was professional and courteous, this small group of employees took a liking to mocking him and the past games that he's worked on. This culminated with a comment from the game director himself. "Fuck that loser."
Boom.
"Oh, this is public? Delete everything." Well, they took the amount of outrage with the game, and they doubled it. Due to the problems of balancing and the real money auction house, many fans were already disillusioned with what the game was and how they wanted it to be.
I don't think that's a big deal, honestly. Like, he's talking privately. Like, I mean, who hasn't had, like, a conversation privately? Like, well, he thought it was private, right? Because it's not like he was doing this publicly. Like, yes, he thought that it was private. Like, he would not have said this if he knew that it would be public, right? So it was stupid that he did that on an online forum, but the intent was for it to be a private conversation, which I think is completely reasonable. Like, who in here hasn't said some shit about people that you wouldn't say in public? Everybody's done that, right? It's like, of course Jay Wilson's pissed off. Of course he is. I don't think that's... I really never thought this was a big deal. It was funny, but it wasn't a big deal. Unprofessional. Give me a fucking break. Don't be such a pussy.
Many saw it as a bastardized version of the series that they fell in love with over a decade ago. So, to see the person holding the reins of this game post something such as this whipped the fan base up into a frenzy. Some swore off not only the franchise, but also Blizzard as a whole, and only the most zealot-like followers stuck through the whole ordeal. And as a reward for their loyalty, for their undying love of the Diablo franchise, they got to witness an even further bastardized version being produced for mobile devices. What? Don't you guys have phones?
Hey!
Wilson later apologized for his comments, and he addressed some of the problems that the game was facing, and the whole incident goes down as one of the most dramatic moments in gaming history. He would later step down from game director for Diablo and move to the lead game designer for the Legion expansion of World of Warcraft. He parted ways with not only Blizzard, but the gaming industry as a whole in June of 2016.
Oh, really?
Man, you know what?
That's whenever the game got a bit better. Like, no, really, you think about it, like, that means that he did, like, the original Legendary system, and, like, everything that they did after this dude left was, like, all an improvement. Yo, fuck that loser, yeah, for real. Like, the guy comes in, no, I mean, really? Am I wrong? Like, I don't know, maybe he's a good game dev, maybe I don't know what I'm talking about, but it just seems like a very coincidental chain of events.
I'm just not feeling this. There's just something about my crippling addiction to World of Warcraft that I just can't drop.
I
It's such a
understand
large
that.
world filled with strange, strange people, and we wouldn't have it any other way, would we? If you're on the same boat, I'll see you in the next episode of World of Warcraft's most famous and infamous players.
Wow. Fucking wow, dude. I'm gonna, let me give you guys a link to this video, okay? There's the video. Go ahead and give it a like, alright? Let's give that video a like. I'm gonna go ahead and give it one right there, alright?